Today I'm going to be breaking down some pros and cons, some schemes I've been going up against, plays in general when it comes to ESG football, of what I've been experiencing lately, and covering some things that I've witnessed and went through during the tournament this past weekend and much more. So here's one person I've been facing. It seems like a lot of people have been running this defense. It's like a wide formation for the D lineman set, and it's just a basic cover two. Now, when you look at this, it looks like you can just easily run up the gut. And during the tournament play, when I was facing these certain people that ran this cover two defense, my right tackle, right guard was AFK half the time. So because of that, the defensive lineman would just run straight through because there is no collision in the game yet. The D lineman can just run through the AFK player. Sometimes a fullback doesn't pick him up, and he will blow up the running back or any runs going up through the middle. And that was very irritating when I had my lineman pretty much AFK half the time. But when you look at this, it seems like you can just run up the gut like you're supposed to. And if the blocks is made correctly, all you gotta do is follow fullback. Fullback's going to either pick him, either the safeties, and you just have a one cut, one player to beat. But there's times where the corners will come up to the line, and in ESG football, there's like a red line that goes across the field. If you're outside that barrier, then you can freely blitz off the edge. And because of that, certain formations during the play, you have certain animations where they're just catered to go through an animation before being able to free flow to direct themselves to block. And because of that, by the time the running back gets like right here, the edge player will come and make a tackle in the backfield. And that was very irritating as well. This formation was the best play to beat this, but once again, like I said, I will have the running back go straight the middle, and he can pick and choose which way he wants to go if the blocks is made correctly. But half the time, I had AFK linemen, and the D lineman would just come right through and blow him up in the backfield. And that was the most frustrating thing that was happening for me during, especially the playoff play in, and we got eliminated in the first round. But so half the time I had to revert to passing the ball just for the simple fact, for something so basic, for easy yardage, I could not simply run up the gut. Now, here's one of the formations I'll go into, and basically I'll do this concept play, and the running back, I would tell him to just block and leak out depending on what side the corners was going to blitz. Now, this is what it looks like, right? But half the time, my running back wouldn't chip block to either side and then leak out. If anything, if he done that and I felt pressure, I would try to take off. But for these two linemen that was blitzing, half the time they didn't get picked up because either they was block shedding somebody that was trash at blocking, which I didn't understand how difficult it is for somebody to just pick up somebody blocking, or having the AFK lineman just not do anything and the lineman would just come right through and sack me. So half the time I was trying to maneuver around, but they came so fast, I didn't have the time or reaction to do anything whatsoever. And if the running back didn't do his job, well, of course, I was getting sacked regardless. And this is what made things so frustrating, just facing the simple defense. But it was like against anybody that ran this or any other defensive formation, this is what I had to deal with. And a lot of people think, I was trash at quarterback for the sole fact that I didn't have any time to do anything. And, even trying to throw the ball quickly, my receivers wouldn't react. They would drop the ball, and or there was a glitch that was happening where the ball was magically getting swatted or I was hitting my offensive line's head, and that was frustrating as hell. Then I had times where people would try to tell me what to do at quarterback. Like, bro, I know what I'm doing. So here's an example. Sometimes I went to this formation for a quick pass. So usually I'll hit this out route, depending if the corner would blitz off this side, and then the running back has the choice to block or go straight for flat, depending if this cornerback blitzes from this side, and then I can hit them. But the people didn't know, based on the people that I was facing, they can fake blitz and then leak out to make a pick if I throw it quick. So they kept telling me, why don't you throw it to the blitzing side? Because they're so good at doing this that they can just wait and then pick me off when I throw it quick. And that's why I've never done it. So I always threw it to the opposite side player that was blitzing. And if this player blitzed this side, I would hit this route. Because half the time, the backside corner would not play his coverage correctly. But when you look at it realistically, yes, you want to hit the person based off the person that's blitzing off the edge to hit the wide open player. But players are so good at doing the fake blitz and lurking back to pick you off. That's why I made decisions not to end up throwing those type of passes. But people don't realize that. But basically, if I knew if this person wasn't a good player, then yes, I would hit this route right here. But also, because I had AFK alignment, it didn't matter if I was going to get the ball out quickly or not, because the lineman, defensive lineman would just come through and sack me. So no matter what I was doing, it was just frustrating to play quarterback during that time with the people that I had on my team. On top of that, half the time people wouldn't run the routes. They would end up doing something else, which throws off my first initial reads, and that was another frustrating problem. When I did play with people that can block, then certain plays work properly. So like this, the wing T, all I had to do was hand it off right up the gut. And if everybody made the blocks, running back had a choice to fake out one of these guys and basically he would be free. So it just comes down to when people play their parts, roles, and assignment, then the outcome of plays will matter based off their own doing. And if you don't play your part, it's going to be extremely frustrating to compete. And that was what was happening when I was competing in the tournament with my teammates. Now, there's plenty of quarterbacks that do the same exact thing. It's always RPO, scrambling out to the right every single time. What I noticed in the championship game and some games I witnessed, every time the quarterback does like the RPO plays, corners never play discipline. They always get baited to the fake run or fake handoff. And then this leaves the quarterback exposed where he can end up taking off or end up having an option route to pass depending what the cornerback does. If he plays, then of course the cornerback has an option to choose between the free tight end coming off to his side or playing the quarterback to attack him. And a lot of people never attack the quarterback, so the scrambling quarterbacks, they always run to the right because it's always guaranteed. There's no lefty quarterbacks yet, but because of this, they're able to have, two options: pass the ball downfield or end up scrambling. And, you know, even when they have their assignment like a flat, cornerbacks, for some reason, they never stay disciplined. They never play their assignment. Everybody wants to do their own thing. But also, the play actions is so well done. In ESG football, they always get faked on any, play action, play, RPO play if it's a fake and QB keep. Then half the time, you got the person blitzing off the edge to pretty much contain the quarterback every single time, depending if all the linemen shift down to the left side, depending on where the running back's at. And it all comes down to this player making play. And sometimes people just hold turbo and pretty much run past the quarterback because there's no collision physics in the game yet. If you're just holding turbo, you're just going to run right through the quarterback. And a lot of people is not used to holding L2, which is strafe, and to break down and then push X to make a tackle. And, you know, this is the most frustrating thing where people have that one-on-one opportunity. If they don't make that, tackle on the quarterback, they're just gone every single time. And the top tier quarterbacks always do the same thing, even though we tell the person what to do, what they have to focus on, they always end up just running right by them every single time. And when the quarterback scrambles so much to the right and they don't get really stopped in the backfield by the blitzing cornerback or the person that's supposed to have a pick and choose option, then everybody starts to close in on the quarterback or the running back, depending if he hands it off. And quarterback would be smart enough to adapt, and pretty much he would throw it always across the field to the wide open person every single time. So this is where it comes down to chess strategy and, like I said, everybody playing the part, playing their assignment, playing disciplined football, but yet everybody wants to do their own thing, and that's why certain quarterbacks can always do the same exact thing every single time, and it frustrates out, certain individual players that have football smarts, and they try to tell you what to do, and that's where chaos happens, where people get frustrated and just start, dogging each other, saying he's trash, this and that. Now, for me, I had the most basic defense. Is very simple. It's out of the 3-2-2, which this is what it looks like in ESG football. And then a lot of people ran this play. It's just either a veer option where the QB kind of rolls with the running back, and then he can like either hand it off, follow the running back, or keep it and then go up the gut. And then you have just the basic option play or RPO, where quarterback will either hand it off to the running back, and then the quarterback takes off this way if he keeps it, and if it's RPO, he would keep it, and then he has an option to throw it downfield to these receivers on these routes, or if it's the basic option, he can just take off, receiver makes a block, and then that's the play for the offense. And then you see the defense. I always end up playing here. My partner would play this backer. My assignment is to fill this gap. If it's a handoff, if everybody gets blocked, I'm there to make a tackle. And then the backside linebacker will end up containing the quarterback every single time. It was so simple. And, you know, DBs is man up because this is a man blitz. All they got to do is play with the receiver and not bait to the running play or going to the quarterback. Because if they do, receiver's wide open if it's RPO and things of that sort. But, the people I had, especially the DBs, they play their part, they play their assignment, and it basically came down to the backers to make the play. And it was so simple, but yet, for some reason, there's times where people get so play faked out from the play action, they would go to the run and run commit first. And then the downfall to it, a lot of people can't make those one-on-one tackles, and it's so frustrating because they'd be right there, make a play, and then boom, quarterback take off every single time, make a move, take off every single time. So it just comes down to as well, skilled players. I mean, there's a lot of great quarterbacks, but man, a lot of people just hold that turbo button thinking it's Madden, and they think they can get scripted and suctioned to a tackle, and they just end up running right past them. And it happens every single time. I always get asked who you think's the best quarterback. I don't consider myself the best quarterback or anybody else. I mean, when people do the same play over and over, you can't tell who's actually the best quarterback. I mean, if a quarterback's always scrambling to the right, taking off, or, you know, any play he would just back up, don't see his first read, he would just automatically take off every single time. You don't consider those players the greatest because they're just doing the same thing. I mean, it's very easy to do that every single time when people are not playing disciplined football. And sure, those may stand out as the best quarterback, but I consider not the best quarterbacks. Reason because it gets boring seeing the same play being done the same way every single time. And that goes to show that, other people is not playing their part or communication is not doing well and things of that sort. But if you can keep a balance, sharing the ball to everybody, making plays, I consider those the best quarterbacks. For me personally, I like to have balanced gameplay where I'm sharing the ball to every single person. Like I'm giving enough reps for the running back to have the ball, run the ball, get a good balance run game. I like to throw it to multiple receivers instead of just the same person every single time. Sure, he may get open every single time, but there's a lot that goes into how everything plays out. But for me to consider somebody great without having great teammates to make key blocks to set you up for success, I mean, without a team, like I told you guys earlier, how my lineman was AFK, wasn't making blocks, and I was getting sacked instantly. I couldn't really do anything, even trying to run the ball. We couldn't even run the ball because lineman would just run right through the AFK person and make a tackle in the backfield. So, without a team, you can't really stand out with those players doing their assignments to make you look good. As far as meta plays, there's really no meta plays. it just comes down to how players play their roles and their assignments correctly. And if people try to do stuff themselves, I mean, it's going to show where people can do the same play over and over and over. Like this play is ran a lot out of I formation. It can be I form close, I form tight, or I form wide out. And quarterback has an option. He can hand it off to the running back or keep it and roll out. And for the most part, a lot of cornerbacks, like I said, don't play discipline. They get faked in, and quarterback can just take off and boom. So it comes down to just picking variety of plays, certain plays, but especially when people do the same plays, yeah, it can be easy for somebody to do it, especially when people come out of their assignments or play something else and don't play discipline. So if this cornerback plays discipline or blitzes off the edge and focuses on the quarterback, he would make this tackle on the quarterback every single time. And then it comes to user skills. If he breaks down, he can make a tackle, and then depending if the quarterback's shifty, he can either break the tackle, running him over based off the skill sets that he has, the player type that he made, or he can juke him out. So it just comes down to that 50-50 chance between skills and reaction. But as far as having like a OP play, there's really no overpowering play. It just comes down to how each team comes about, making adjustments, call outs, picking plays based off strategy and all that good stuff. So it's very well balanced, and there's just nothing that's absolutely overpowering like you would see in college football or Madden. Now, I think the most effective plays is the RPO because it's a triple option threat. Quarterback can hand it off to the running back, fullback, or he can keep it and take it off himself or make a pass downfield. Now, because DBs have field awareness rating, where if they have a very low rating, they cannot see, skill players running routes from across the field. So imagine if this receiver is running across the field, right? That whole time he's running, this DB, depending on his field awareness, would not be able to see that receiver coming across. So he can be just lurking around trying to look for somebody coming into his field awareness circle so he can track him and then start covering him. But that depends on his field awareness rating. So if he has a big field awareness rating, which probably be like this big, then he probably only see him coming into his area probably within this range, and then he can end up making a decision what he wants to do to play it or stay with the quarterback. But that's another big balance that ESG has done for especially DBs, so they can't lurk all over the field because they're able to see everybody. And that made it a little bit better and easier for quarterbacks to make passes because without this field awareness, everybody is lurking the field and everybody's covered, and quarterback couldn't really throw it. So for the most part, he had to just scramble and make plays himself. And that's another thing why RPOs is kind of effective because the play action fake, the camera would pan in on the running back on the fake, and a lot of DBs would bite down. And once they bite down in the field awareness, they may lose sight of the receiver that's fake blocking and then going downfield because he would end up turning invisible for the DBs to see him. And that's where the quarterback has a chance to pretty much throw the ball downfield to a wide open player. And you see this being done plenty of times. Now, this is one of the plays that is a favorite play for one of the top running backs in the game, but this can be done by anybody. It's just this particular running back. He has perfected the run, and I think this is something else for ESG football to end up having another gameplay mechanic implemented, which is the collision or physics mechanics. But let me break it down for you guys. So this is kind of like a single back double tight end formation in the game. And running back has pretty much three options. Depending on the blocks that happen, he can end up keeping it, taking off, use his speed to break down field, or going up the gaps, and or come up here and then cut back. Now, what makes this play possible and any play possible in general for running backs to break free is, of course, everybody making their key blocks. I notice a lot of people can't make key blocks on certain people that they're supposed to get. And basically, right now, because where the game stands, there is no collision when anybody comes into contact, especially depending if they're not breaking down and holding turbo. There is no collision. But another thing with the no collision is that the running back can go into, let's say the center and D tackle is blocking, right? They're in an animation. The running back can just cut back and magically just go right through them as if they're invisible. And because of that, the running back ends up breaking free. And that's probably the most frustrating issue right now with the run game, because a lot of people can just run through other people that's engaged in blocks and just break free. And sometimes they do get suctioned into animation or get caught in an animation for a tackle, even when the block is engaged in a animation. So this is another thing that I feel like ESG football needs to basically fix. Because for the people that's really good at running the ball, without them being able to collide into traffic, especially when there's multiple people. So, for instance, let's say running back goes up to this gap, right? You got blocker, blocker, but then you got traffic, right? Everybody's kind of like huddled up right here. Now, if he's just running straight, he can just run through everybody because everybody's blocked, and there's no animation for him to get tackled or interact with any of the collision with anybody that's in blocking. And once they add this in, I feel like a lot of people will not be able to run effectively like they have been in the past. And just like with Madden, you guys know where you hit your own lineman, you're either going to fall down or, fall into like a gang tackle animation for the D lineman to try to make a tackle, but it slows them down. The fact that ESG football doesn't have any of those mechanics in the game yet, which I hope they do have once the game release, this is going to kill a lot of running backs, being able to do that type of deal. But you got to give them credit when they do make moves on certain uh, reads for the vision. They do make plays, but I think having collision mechanics in the game will make a big difference and a balance to skilled running backs, because once they find out there's collisions in the game, that's going to make them more aware of, they're going to have to actually make moves or, avoid any traffic that happens instead of just running straight through everybody and then having their speed just take them away. Now, technically, when you look at this, I would say probably this and maybe this would be taken out if there's collision, right? Because of course, realistically, running back would see a gap, right? If blocks is made. So let's see if he shines over here, over right, picks up the block. Linebacker goes over instead of hitting the gap. Safety goes over, and then cornerback backside, he either blitz off the edge or kind of hover over. Then the running back has a choice, right? Based off his vision, he would cut back, and it's one on one if he's going to make a move, or if the cornerback has great tackling and stop him, right? Or he can have the option to just bounce outside, get a few yards, and probably get tackled or break free, depending on the blocks. But with those other two options out, because there's collisions in the game, then it's going to force him to probably most likely try to use his speed and just bounce outside based off, if the blocks is made. Now, when you look at this simple play, you got many options. So you basically have the fullback dive that you can do to either side, or the fullback fake, and you got the halfback toss play to the right or left. And then you have the play where the running back can either take it up the gut or be faked, and the quarterback can keep it and just do a bootleg rollout to either side. And this is one of the toughest plays to stop, but at the same time, when it comes to short yardage, a lot of people do this play, but it can be tough to easily pick up the first down based off what the defense would do. Now, it's very easy to stop when you have the backers coming up to the line of scrimmage continuously running against the red line, because the center cannot pick up all three of these guys. So somebody's going to be unblocked and be able to be right there to stop the fullback, and or just come right through. If the linebacker hovers over the D tackle like this, the D tackle will come untouched because he is free. He doesn't have the red line restriction, and he can stop the fullback dive easily. But you have to have everybody crammed up together. So, with that being said, based off if they end up doing the toss, well, of course, it comes down to DBs, the cornerbacks playing disciplined football and not going and helping out any inside or getting faked out by like a fake or so. So they have to play the edge. A lot of people do not contain as a DB and or playing their assignment. Yes, for the most part, people be in cover zero, which is man coverage. But for me, I always tell the DBs play cornerback, especially when it's the red zone, because we can fake blitz and leak out into like a middle zone just in case if a receiver ends up running a slant, they do like a RPO play, and the quarterback will have an option to throw him the ball. And because of field awareness, the DBs won't be able to see that because they're in zone coverage, and he can come across. Once again, he's invisible to this guy, and he'll come across like this. DB's like over here just wandering around, waiting for somebody to come into his field awareness, and the quarterback can easily throw over here or over top, depending if quarterback keeps, receiver goes to the right, cornerback has the option to choose if he's going to stay back or attack. So this overall is just really tough, and it comes down to, play calling, communication, team communication that is, and just making adjustments on the fly. And then on top of that, once again, it takes everybody's role to play their assignments. So he has to make a block or go out for a pass, depending where he's at, depending on the play, and then just quarterback decision. I believe he will have the toughest decision, especially if it's an RPO play, but everybody has a tough assignment. So that's why ESG football is just game changing, because there's so many factors that can go into a basic, simple play. And it's not like college football Madden where you can just run the same play because you know that it's going to work every single time against the AI. Because this is all user control players, it makes it for unique outcomes, but it can be difficult or it can be easy depending if everybody plays their assignment. So that's why ESG football is going to be completely game changing when it releases. Then when you have all that being played out from, the strategy play, then it comes down to the archetype, the build of players, and how you can possibly see the matchup differences. So let's say this receiver is a speed demon at receiver. This guy doesn't have great field awareness. He's not really a cover DB. Then you can just tell this guy keep doing streaks because you're basically going to burn him. You have speed over him. Or if the quarterback is a pocket quarterback, he may have like bruiser on him. He can just sit in the pocket and take relentless sacks and break tackles and then make plays downfield. Or a scrambling quarterback, he can take off, but depending on who he's going up against, like let's say this linebacker is great at pursuing, he has high tackling, he's most likely going to choose to try to strip or force a big hit stick to cause a forced fumble on a quarterback that has no carrying. He's just speed. But then speed can outrun him or maneuver around him. It just depends on the user skill input based off his build and the matchup. So there's a lot of calculation that goes into not only just the plays, but also everybody's builds. Even when it comes to the line, I had times where, I was facing a certain team. The D lineman figured out that my center was trash, and they end up switching spots. So maybe this guy from DN was a great pass rusher, and he found out that he can just block shed him every single time because the center didn't have great pass blocking or so. Because of that, he got to me very quick and caused a lot of sacks, or disrupted the plays or so, and I was forced to just run around and end up throwing quick passes because of the pressure that he was getting on me. So there's that to also take into consideration. There's just a lot that goes down in a short time period when plays are, ran and also being selected. So that's why ESG football is a complete game changer. And this is just in beta. The game hasn't even fully been polished up or released yet. So imagine once that gets handled, it gets polished up, we get to see more features and things of that sort. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that we haven't even tested yet. So once we get to all that good stuff, I mean, just think how big this game is going to be once it gets fully developed, fully polished, and released to everybody. This game, like I said, is just a complete game changer. And because where everybody's user control, it's not like college football. Like I can do this play every single time and hit this route every single time because a lot of people would sit in cover three or so. If they user this, then of course the running back's going to be wide open. I can just hit him every single time. I mean, that's where strategy and all that stuff doesn't come into play in college football in Madden because everything is AI controlled, right? And then on top of that, it comes down to people doing the same play. Like you guys see me in college football, I have a ability player that has speed, right? He has takeoff. He can just, depending on the cornerback, if he's back off or man coverage, I can just do a streak every single time and he gets free every single time. So that's a big difference compared to what you will experience in college football or in ESG football compared to college football. So quickly, you take a look here at College Football 25. Watch how the collision happens, makes the player bounce outside. So once again, this is something that needs to be done in ESG football. Hopefully they do get it down. But in this game alone, you guys are going to pretty much see me do the same exact stuff over and over. So right here, he ends up putting his fastest DB. He still gets burnt because my ability speedster at receiver for Kentucky. But also in this game, like I showed you guys over and over, I'm doing the loop blitz. You guys see it done right here. And a lot of people just do not block the running back. The easiest way to block this loop blitz is just blocking the running back, but everybody wants to do 5 wide every single time. And you guys do see it get picked up right here. But that's the thing about college football Madden. You can do the same thing every single time because a lot of people do not make the simple adjustments. And when it comes to ESG football, you have people making callouts and adjustments and putting you in the right spot to readjust to make plays. And when it's in college football or Madden, you have everything being AI controlled based off plays, and you do little adjustments, but for the most part, you expect your guys to play those assignments. And in ESG football, half the time, a lot of people don't play the assignments that they're given, and that's where it becomes a complete game changer difference between the two games. I hope this video, even though it's pretty long, I hope this gives you guys a better understanding of what ESG football is bringing to the table, especially for those that haven't experienced it yet, which you guys can experience the beta. All you guys got to do is sign the NDA, follow the instructions, pass the questionnaire, and you guys will be able to be selected for the PlayStation 5 closed beta and future beta sessions that goes down. But anyways, I hope today's film study just gave you guys a better insight. Let me know what you guys think down below in the comments. If you guys do want more, especially for those that's playing, can give you guys a better insight on how to beat and stop stuff, please let me know. I will do more videos like this. But other than that, until next time, I'll see you guys in the next one. I am out. Peace.